Hi, I'm David Ferris, President and CEO of the Rocky Mountain Area Chamber of Commerce. And it's that time of the month again when we get to honor a small business of the month. And today, we're almost on the anniversary of the 33rd year of operation for Allegra, which is a family-owned business founded by the Henson family. And I have with me Todd Henson and Erin Gall. Erin is on our board of directors, and she's also the incoming chair for 2024 for the Rocky Mountain Area Chamber of Commerce. Each one of these presentations are special. Today, I think, is like adding a lot of seasoning to it. Allegra is, I think, if you looked up the definition of community involvement, their name would be right beside the word involvement. They do, if you're around the Chamber of Commerce, the Boys and Girls Club, I can go on and on and on, they're involved. They believe in giving back to the community. The community has been good to their families and their team members' families. And it's with a great deal of pride and a great deal of humility that we are able to have you as the month of January's recipient of the Rocky Mountain Area Chamber of Commerce Small Business of the Month, and we offer our sincere congratulations.
Thank you. On behalf of all of the team here at Allegra and RTS, we're grateful, we're thankful. The community is who we are, and we want to support that, but we're thankful for the folks who trust us to help them, and just being a part of the bigger community here in the Rocky Mountain area, and just to be recognized for the work we do and the passion that each and every one of the people that works here puts into their job every day. Every morning we talk about is how we do our job that makes a difference, and that's the impact we want to make, and that's how we treat each other, how we try to treat our customers in each and every job. And if we do that right, then we've done something good at the end of the day. But thank you very much. We're awfully grateful and appreciative of the recognition.
Erin?
I echo everything that Todd said. Like David said, this is a family business, and he makes each one of us feel just like family. The only thing that could make me feel more like family is if Henry and Lucy would adopt me. But I'm an adult, so that's off. But thank you guys. You've always been a great support of us at Allegra. We love the community, seeing everybody thrive and seeing the business community grow. It makes us feel successful as well.
And thank y'all for supporting local business, and thank you for joining us today.
Todd, we're so proud of you, your business, and we're gonna have a really fun time, folks, because we're gonna do some history. Todd Henson's family, Allegra now, but your family has been here for so long. Your wife's from here, your brother Mark's wife's from here, you grew up here, your dad was a city council member. I was asking you ahead of time and really got engaged in kind of what he did and his involvement in the insurance industry. But first of all, we're really proud of you. We are going to talk about what Allegra, formerly American Printing or Printing used to do.
American Speedy Printing.
Speedy Printing.
Yeah,
Printing.
right.
I remember that. And how you and Mark started that together with Henry and Lucy Henson,
Right.
your parents. But let's go back to your parents a little bit.
Yeah.
You grew up here.
Born and raised right here in Rocky Mountain.
Okay, and now your dad was on the city council, but what did he do? What would people remember?
Well, my brother and I born and raised here in Rocky Mountain. My mom and my dad both born and raised right here in Rocky Mountain, and just long history of being here. My dad grew up and ended up purchasing it's Howlor's Motel. It was a Quality Inn. At that
Church
point in
Street.
time, out on 301.
301, yeah, okay.
And bought that from my grandparents, from his mom and dad, who owned it. They had bought it from Mr. Orr. And he ran that when he got out of the Army, came back home, and he ran and operated the motel until early 70s, and sold that and got out of the hotel business. We had the hotel and had Aunt Sarah's Pancake House, and
okay.
so while it lasted when we were little boys, it was a lot of fun to go at that time. What was like a trip to go out from when we lived in Rocky Mount to come all the way out to the hotel was like you pack up for the weekend. It was a long trip. Now you just sort of ride down the street, but we'd come out there and it was great because we had shuffleboard courts and they had a swimming pool and we get to ride around on the laundry cart and go help change sheets.
Pancakes? Did you
And we could, and the ladies in the restaurant were really, really nice. We could go in and we could eat pancakes and stuff. So it was a neat time as a child to go out there and kind of tool around and be around a hotel experience. And for me, all the way up when I went to college, my initial plan, I wanted to study hotel management and go into that industry and be in that business. I think part of that's just because I kind of grew up and I saw that, was always fascinated with it. But I remember my dad sitting me down when I was in school and asking me, why do you want to do this? And I told him, I said, well, because, growing up in it, I saw what you did. It was always fun. And he said, well, you do realize that means you work every weekend, you work every holiday, you're working at nights, and, and kind of really explained to me the real world part of what it meant to work in the hotel industry. And I kind of had a second thought about that and switched gears and just sort of studied marketing and business instead. But
when did he make the transition to working with Tom Betts?
If I remember right, it was the late 70s in there where he had gotten out and trying to sort of figure out what he wanted to do. And he and Mr. Betts got together and he joined that agency as a partner with them, and they did that very successfully and had a great business until my dad retired. My brother and I were always extremely close and ended up, we were roommates together at college for Mark's last 2 years, my first 2 years. And with my dad, we grew up, my dad being a small business owner. My grandparents were small business owners. My great-grandfather, Henson Grocery down on Gray Street. It was just sort of, we always wanted to do something. And we talked about it even when we were in college living together. We had, let's do something together. We're going to do something one day. And Mark graduated and he came home and worked with my dad and Mr. Betts and had his insurance license and sold insurance. And after about a year or so realized this isn't what I want to do. Mark was a salesman, liked that, really liked the relationships and getting to know people and very active in that. But selling insurance, I don't think was his cup of tea. So we just, again, kept talking, we're going to do something one day. We want to do our own thing. And my roommate then, after my brother had graduated, my roommate was a friend of ours, and his parents owned a printing business up in the mountains of North Carolina. And they were trying to sell their printing business. And just in conversations amongst everybody sitting around, your apartment in college, my roommate kind of laughed and said, y'all ought to buy my mom and dad's print shop, and we're all going to graduate. We'll all go live together, and this will be fun. We'll continue the college days. And we all kind of laughed, but somewhere, and honestly, the idea sort of stuck of, well, this printing business thing. We didn't know anything about a print business. I'd never set foot in the printing business. Mark really didn't either. But the idea sort of got planted, and enough to the point where we said, maybe this is something that might be something we would want to do. So Mark actually went and spent 2 weeks at my roommate's parents' house, and they let him work with them for 2 weeks. We'll show you what this business is. And he came back home and said, it's kind of fun. You send faxes, you make copies.
That was back when you sent faxes. I was reading.
We made a really good living sending and receiving faxes for people. But he did. He came back home and said, it was kind of neat. We looked around Rocky Mount. There really was one, Quick Print, which is still downtown.
And Jim Dickens.
There was the one Quick Print franchise. Jim was sort of doing his business form thing, but there wasn't a lot of competition. So we really kind of crazily thought, let's do that.
And bought the equipment and moved it to Rocky Mount?
We were smart enough, we bought into a franchise. American Speedy Printing.
That was a franchise.
That was a franchise. And so we that's how we got into it. We bought the franchise and opened in February of 1990. I was in my last semester of college. Mark was living at home, and I would come home on Thursdays. I'd work Friday. I'd work over the weekend some, and I'd work on Monday morning. And I'd go back to school, and I took classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I kind of came back. Mark was there, and my mom offered to work for a while, and she would help, and we hired a press operator. He had 20 years experience and knew what he was doing.
Good.
And best thing we ever did, we hired
sure.
Glenn Bunn, and bless his heart, Glenn listened to a 23 and a 20-year-old kid who knew nothing about the printing business. And somebody would walk in the door and, can you do this? And we would politely say, hang on one second. We'd run to the back, Glenn, yeah, can we do this? And yeah, what do we need to get from him? And we'd go, yeah, we can do that if you can just get us these things. Glenn taught two guys how to be printers.
Wow, how wonderful that you had that resource of Glenn.
He was great. Glenn was a great guy and a really good printer and very patient. He taught us what to do, and in all honesty, we were very blessed. We were very fortunate because we learned the business. We had a support of a franchise. We had a really good employee, and we got through the first couple of years of a new business, and to the point where we started to really understand what we were doing, and the business continued to grow and prosper, and we've just sort of adjusted, and 34 years later.
And you started in the Gateway Technology Center. Was that your first location?
We were at the Gateway beside what was the Sheraton Hotel at that time. We were there. Steve Witt Shoe Repair was at the end. We were the first two tenants in that little side of the Gateway Center, and
And when did you move into you built the building where you are now,
We
right?
did. We were there 3 years.
Okay, Zebulon Court.
Zebulon Court. We moved over there 94. We built the building there, and we've been there ever since. We've added on to that building one time to where we are now, and that's where we'll be until the day I can get out of there and retire. But that's where we've been, and we've been in that building now almost 30 years.
Wow, I love that history. I mean, I remember when you changed, and that was quite a big investment to do that. Was that about the same time you changed your name to Allegra?
We did. It was probably late 90s. Mark was actually instrumental in that. He served on some committees with the national franchise. At the time, we were one of the folks, but there were several that had grown their business to a size and doing work where being pegged, and we're still referred to today, people, hey, they're the Speedy Boys. When we started that business and where our industry was at that time, really it was speedy, fast. Come in, make a copy, and I'm out. We had grown to where we were doing more commercial printing, bigger projects, bigger clients. It was not this transactional in and out every day. I'm going to make 15 copies and pay you, and I'm out the door. We were working on big, long-term project work. And we felt the name didn't really suit us anymore. So Mark was instrumental with working with our franchise system to say, hey, can we change our name? And Allegra Print and Imaging came out of that and was offered to, if you meet certain qualifications within our system, you could change your name, which we did immediately.
Did you choose that name, or was there already an Allegra name out there?
It was, they worked through this through committees and brainstorming, and there was all.
What does it mean? Does it have some? Oh, come on, Todd, make up something.
It's well, I can tell you, it was a derivative from Allegro, the musical term, which means pick up the pace.
Okay.
So that was sort of the compromise to the Speedy, and then I hate to admit it. It starts with an A, so it gets you first in the yellow pages at that time.
Very important.
Which was very important. Yeah, I mean, it got you in there, and it was a name that we did not feel, or they didn't feel at the time, would pigeonhole you 30 years later, where it was like, oh, that's a name from the 80s or the 90s. So.
Well, it's easy to spell, easy to pronounce, it's easy to remember.
Yep.
So it's got it all going. Well, we're going to take a break, and I have loved this walk down history lane, how fun that was. But we're going to talk about how you evolved from there. You've recently added on a whole new portion of your business. We're going to talk about that. Aaron now is the general manager, and you're the owner. Mark is not there,
Right.
working there anymore. But we really want you to brag on your employees too, and
Be
really
happy
talk
to.
about the majority of what you do day to day. But folks, they have been the best community partners. I mean, I can't tell you, I don't know of many things that you don't support with your time and your talent and your resources.
Well, thank you.
And it's so important to our community. And that's why these small businesses, we just celebrate that what you do for us. So we'll be right back. We're having such a good time with Todd Henson from Allegra Small Business of the Month for January. You were telling a story during the break, and it's just too good not to share with everybody. Tell us about is it your grandfather?
It's my great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather,
My
okay.
great-grandfather, Henson, had Henson Grocery. They were down on Gray Street, right around the corner from the Catholic school, right there. And his phone number, and I tell my kids and try to make them understand how ironical it is, but phone number for him back in the early 1900s was 911. Before there was an emergency
Just
system,
three digits.
Three digits. You dial 911, and it was Henson Grocery.
Wow.
So
Your family does go back.
we go back a long way as for
yeah.
small business owners.
Well, for people, kind of give us an overview of all the assortment of what happens at Allegra, what you can get done there.
Well, thank you. We've continued to grow and try to provide. We're still a printer. Producing anything from invitations to business cards to brochures and business forms, stationery. We do a lot of marketing work that then transcends. We do a lot of wide format work and signage and display work.
And excuse me to interrupt here, but that's new. You've gotten some wider equipment to be able to
Yes.
do wider stuff, right?
We're
Recently.
We've expanded in that area, so we're doing wider work. We're doing a little bit more. Big wall graphics, wall decals. We do a little bit of outdoor work, but really sort of where we stop is if you've got to get a permit or electrical for an outside sign. That's not what we're going to do. But we do a lot of what we do revolves around more like trade show. You've got your table. You need your table skirt. You need some backdrop displays. You need product literature. All that's what we do. We've got full-time designers. Philip and Denise are two graphic designers who are great, have been with us for a long time, that can do anything from a simple, just quick invitation all the way through to designing logos to just sort of whole market plan.
And it's so nice you provide that service because very few people, to get noticed when you go to trade shows,
Right.
You got to do it's gotten more and more competitive.
You've got to have your stuff together, and everybody talks about branding, but it is true. I mean, everything you do, from what they see at the show to your emails to when they come in your
QR
store.
codes,
You have QR codes. All of that needs to work in uniform to create a logo and an image and a brand that people, when they see something, go, "Oh, I know who that is," or "I remember who that was when I see their logo." All of that's what we try to do. So it's not just printing. It's not just signage. We do some web. We help with SEO. We help.
What's SEO?
Search engine optimization. So people go to search for I need a drugstore in Rocky Mount, and almonds needs to show up. Well, there's ways to do that. And but how do you do that? We can help people. It's all of that whole mix of things is what we try to be and try to help our customers with.
You've evolved tremendously, haven't you?
It really has changed. From faxing, I would say, and that's probably a good thing. So it's more fun probably now to me than it was at any point in time. But it continues to change.
The T-shirt, tell about that, please.
Well, that's what we've added. We've gotten into screen printing and embroidery and apparel. We purchased RTS Screen Printing, which had been an established, really good business in Rocky Mount for 20 plus years. But we purchased that a year ago. They were out on Sandy Cross Road. We've just moved them into our building at Allegra at the end of December. So we're all under one roof.
And you kept the employees.
Kept all the employees, equipment. We've bought some automatic 6-color automatic screen printing machines. We're adding some direct to transfer and some other things to really bolster that. But it's a natural fit because if we're printing your material, we're doing your signage, we're doing all your marketing stuff, a lot of folks then still need apparel, shirts, hats.
So it's not just T-shirts. You do hats,
hoodies, sweatshirts, shorts, athletic. We do a lot of athletic jerseys and athletic wear. And they had a great established group of customers that we were able to continue to serve, and then go to our customer base and say, hey, we can now do this for you very effectively too. So that's been great. And it's allowed us to bring those, we kept their employees. We've been able to add a few more folks to our mix there. So it's been good. And I think getting it under one roof, while Allegra and RTS are two separate businesses, we combine all the back end and all the support and the customer service and things that we've done really well at Allegra for a long time with. We're able to sort of give to the RTS side that they have not had in the past, which I feel like and hope will just make the customer service end of that even better.
Or to have a one-stop shop instead of having to, I want something else with clothing. Now they don't have to go search for somebody who can do that.
It's neat. It's very similar. People think, oh, it's printing. It's very similar, but it is very different. I definitely am learning it is very different in the process, but in the end, it's still, I'm not putting ink on paper, but you're printing a logo in an image and a brand, and those things still work together. So it's been fun. We've got really good, they had really great long seasoned employees there who knew what they were doing. And sort of, I go back to the Glenn Bunn days when he taught me how to print a press in 1990. Ray and Dalton and the guys there being very patient and teaching me now, here's how you screen print. So it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
How many employees do you have?
There are 17 of us there, which is by far the most we've ever had at one time. And we are a family and try to treat everybody as a family.
Well, and you treat very much the community like your family too.
Well,
I mean, that's one reason I wanted people to hear the history of why you've got such deep roots in this area, because there are very few things in town, from Tackle the Tar to every nonprofit. I mean, you really have a heart for that, don't you? Where do you think that goes back to?
Well, it goes back to my grandparents. It goes back to my dad, my mom, Mark, my brother and I both. Even though Mark has transitioned out of Allegra and is over here at Wesleyan College and doing great things for them, we both Rocky Mount's where you're born, it's where you're raised. We were taught that you always give back and you always try to make wherever you are better. And so that's what we've tried to do personally, and through the business was always an opportunity to try to help through there in ways that we could do. And we've encouraged our employees. Erin, who's my general manager, Erin's gotten extremely involved in things that she's passionate about, and
particularly the chamber.
The chamber is a big thing for her, and which has been great for her, and even all of our staff. Just we want them to feel like if they have a cause or there's something that's important to them, that where they work, we'll support that. We're all together more than we're with our families, so that's what we laugh. We are a family, and we want to treat each other that way. And when you're family, you take care of your family. And for us, that's the Rocky Mountain, Nashville area. And the Boys and Girls Club is deeply passionate to me. I've been involved with them since the early 1990s and would do anything for that organization and what they do. But I've, American Red Cross, Meals on Wheels, I've been involved with those organizations over the time. And Mark's been involved with, Salvation Army and, between those, Rotaries and Kiwanis over the years. I mean, wherever we can be involved and just feel like we're helping.
One of you in Rotary and one in Kiwanis? How'd that work?
Yeah,
Mark's
for a while.
Kiwanis and your Rotary.
Yeah, we would sort of split up and kind of divide and tackle a little bit over the years. So that was nice too, because we could sort of split ourselves up.
And when did Mark move to Wesleyan?
April, I think, will be, it's either 7 or 8 years.
Was that tough?
It was. It happened really, really quickly, and like over like a 3-day period of time, where they very quickly recruited him, and I will always remember telling me, hey, this is what's happening. I've prayed about this, and really feel like God is telling me this is what I need to do and what I want to do, and we hugged and we cried, and I told him, if this is what the Lord is telling you to do.
Roommates in college, that's a big break.
I'm not going to be the one that's going to stand in the way. And so it was a chance for me to ask myself, all right, are we going to sell this business, or am I going to try to keep doing it and do it on my own? And I think at that time it was a way for God to challenge me to get out of my comfort zone. For 25 years, we had done it together and had very different roles. But
you were always there for each other.
We were always there for each other. And I never worried about the sales and marketing side, because that's what Mark did. And I did the production in that end of it. And he had 100% trust in what I would do. Well, it was a chance for me to get out of that comfort zone and say, okay, I got to handle this side, which I've not done ever in 25 years. And so, it was good. I stayed there. Erin has sort of moved up over that time, and I'm at a point now where she's the general manager and really is the day-to-day person running things there. So it was, I think in all things, everything has a purpose. And Mark's been extremely happy at the college, and he's done amazing things for them. And we live next door to each other, so I still see him every day. I still talk to him every day. He's a customer for us at Allegra, and so he still brings his jobs in for us to print now. So that's been good.
Well, it sounds to me like things are just in a really, really sweet spot right now. And I think I read that you're 30% up in your business for the year.
We've been extremely blessed the last few years. The business itself has doubled over the last 5 years from where we were, and continue to grow. And that's really just because my people are really, really great at what they do. They care about what they do. We talk about it every morning. It's just however we do our job, just do it in the right way and go home so you feel good about what you've done, whatever that means. And I think, it's not anything I'm doing. It is what they're doing, but we've been able to grow. We've added staff. We've been able to bring in RTS and continue to add what we do. And hopefully we'll continue to be blessed and keep seeing where it goes. And keep just putting jobs and talent and everything right back into if I'm smart enough to get the right people, then I just try to get out of the way.
Todd, thank you. This has been such a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Enjoyed getting to know you better, and I'm sure everyone watching too, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.